Let's go to the horrendous environmental cost of electric vehicles. You've heard the spin about them being the clean, green alternative, but a stunning report on Channel 7 last night revealed a very different picture. It focused on a massive Chinese nickel plant in Indonesia, central to churning out the lithium-ion batteries for EV manufacturing.
Until finally, we glimpse a massive dark smudge on the horizon. You can smell Morowali Industrial Park before you see it. The largest nickel plant in Indonesia pumps more than 50,000 tonnes of CO2 into the atmosphere every day, creating its own toxic microclimate. All for those environmentally friendly electric vehicles.
Yeah, it's a pretty ugly story, but let's provide some context. The net zero push is a scam, as you know. Often the products and policies pushed to promote net zero create more clear-cut environmental damage than the emissions they supposedly save. We've shown you renewable energy and transmission projects right around this country that bear that out. Clearing of bushland, destruction of environments, and even the disruption of fishing grounds and coastlines. Then, of course, there's the scientific, engineering and economic reality that net zero cannot be reached by 2050. We don't have the technology to do that. The scientists and the engineers admit that when you question them. So really, net zero by 2050 is the great lie of modern politics, certainly the great lie of our current election campaign, with both sides pretending they can do it. The coalition, I suppose, has some chance because they're embracing nuclear, and you'll never do it without nuclear. Even the International Energy Agency says that. But the point is, there are a lot of people making a lot of money out of convincing people that they're saving the planet. And China is at the heart of this. China's making a mozza out of all of this, even while their own emissions grow so rapidly and by such large amounts that they render what the rest of us do as meaningless. And of course, our governments, especially the current Albanese Labor government and its climate minister, Chris Bowen, well, they love passing laws and offering tax incentives and handing out taxpayers' money to promote EVs and lithium-ion batteries for homes as well. So what the Channel 7 Spotlight program's Liam Bartlett showed us last night was not only worrying when it comes to the environment, but it's also politically embarrassing for the net zero zealots.
Our footage on the ground and from the air is chilling proof of how Chinese companies are allowed to flout environmental regulations. They've dumped tens of millions of tonnes of waste and pollution, wiping out a once thriving fishing industry that used to provide full employment. That's forced locals to work at the industrial park, where they're treated almost as slave labour and condemned to live in the squalid slums surrounding the complex. Remember, all this human misery and environmental devastation is directly caused by the electric vehicle industry.
Yeah, what a shocker. And the story also focused on the horrible work practices, how workers had been killed and injured, how they were routinely exploited in the name of battery production. Normally something that Labor might rail against. And the story showed how all this had pushed our nickel industry in Australia, where we employ safe and environmentally sustainable practices. Well, it's been pushed to the brink. But today, the Prime Minister said he knew nothing.
I have not been informed about that show, so I'll answer it when I have a briefing. Well, I can't comment on a show that I haven't seen. I can't comment on a show that I haven't seen.
Yeah, old Mr. Not Responsible again. But Bartlett had put the issues to the Climate and Energy Minister without much luck.
Minister, you're happy to see the nickel coming in here in these electric vehicles.
I think I've made very clear my preference is Australian nickel.
But it's not happening, Minister, it's not happening.
Well, with respect, Liam, it is happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. We're not making the batteries in Australia. But have a look at this, because Bowen then cut off that media conference and he refused Bartlett's request for a separate interview, and one bloke intervened to keep Channel 7 away from Chris Bowen.
Hey, mate, I don't appreciate that. Hey? I don't appreciate that. I'm talking to a minister of the crowd.
Hey, mate, rude, mate.
Who is this guy?
Do you think you're going to get anywhere by doing
Who is
that?
this guy?
I want to just help and just separate and just
Well, who is he?
escalate.
Who is he? To step between the media and a minister of the crowd. I let everybody else talk.
Come on, let's
Get
go.
out of my face, pal.
You got in my face.
Get out of my face.
You got in my face.
Yeah.
Mate, you want to do it? You want to do it on camera?
Guys,
You want to do it on camera? You really want to do this?
Yeah, it turns out this bloke was an electric vehicle zealot, calls himself the Electric Viking. More like Hagar the Horrible, I reckon. And all this just tends to confirm what most of us fear, and that is that the net zero crowd are not interested in accountability, not interested in the environment, and absolutely obsessed with politics and their ideological crusade. And leading the charge is the Albanese government and its climate minister, Chris Bowen.
Today we're announcing the next round of funding, $20 million, 500 more EVs, electric vehicles for rideshare drivers that reduce emissions, reduce their bills and are good across the board.
Yeah, good across the board, hey? Well, yes, unless you care about the environment or are perhaps concerned about workers' rights, or unless you want taxpayers' money spent wisely. We've asked Chris Bowen for an interview again, and he said no again.